Bismillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everybody to today's Writing for Animation workshop. And as usual, I forgot to mute my Facebook. Welcome everybody to today's writing. It's always funny for me to hear how much of a cheerleader I sound like when I'm listening to my voice come back. Anyways, but it's fun. That's me. It's so nice to have you here. I'm Dr. Shazza Khan. I'm the Executive Director of the Islamic School League of America, Islamic Schools League of America, which is the organization hosting Ramadan Connect, this amazing program for 2nd to 6th graders to connect with other Muslim kiddos from all around the world. And we're so excited to see people here from all over the world, mashallah. What a beautiful Muslim ummah we have. Do you mind putting in the chat where you are calling in from? Where do you live? Put it in the chat. Are you calling from Dubai? I see somebody in the UAE, which is also Dubai. I am in the United States and Texas. Put it in the chat. Where are you calling in from? Syria, mashallah, mashallah. Where in Syria? Rahik, where in Syria are you? We've got a lot of people from Dubai. China, mashallah, Dia, that's so exciting. Yes, I'm from America, but calling from Dubai, subhanallah. Somebody's in Houston, Texas, Flordeliza. That was a direct message to me. All right, mashallah, we've got a lot of people from Dubai. So you guys are like about to break your fast, or maybe you're not fasting, but your parents are about to. Awesome, so excited to have you here. We are going to have this workshop start off with Sister Shama. Shama, you were gonna do it, right? And you're gonna recite Surah Fatiha, so go ahead and unmute yourself and get started with the recitation. Thank you for volunteering.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Ameen. Thank you so much. And your name is Shama?
Yes.
Shama, where do you live?
Dubai.
You live in Dubai. It is so nice to have you here, Shama. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for that beautiful recitation.
You're welcome.
Mashallah, we have people calling in from Pakistan, from India, or they live in Dubai, but they're from India. We even have an entire class. Sister Nyla's class is here from Naperville, Illinois in the United States. How exciting, mashallah. Thank you all for joining. Well, without further ado, we're going to pass the microphone to Sister Flordeliza Dayrit. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, but you're welcome to correct me. And Sister Flordeliza is the co-founder of an amazing organization called Muslim Kids TV. Muslim Kids TV produces all kinds of awesome animations and shows and even games for you to participate in that extend your knowledge and just entertainment even related to Islamic and Muslim values and themes. So it's really a great thing to check out. She's going to share with us a little bit more about Muslim Kids TV. And importantly, we invited Sister Flordeliza here because one of the things that we're doing with Ramadan Connect is a story writing contest. And we've invited all of you to participate in it. We've got certain prompts that you can respond to and write a story. It can be fact or fiction. It does have to be in English. And 200 to 700 words, 250 to 700 words. And basically, the winners of that contest are going to have their stories made into an animated short. So what does that mean? We're going to learn a little bit more about how this company, Muslim Kids TV, chooses stories to create into animated shorts, or another word for it could be like short cartoons. Okay, so without further ado, Flordeliza, the microphone and floor is yours.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for coming, and assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Alaikum assalam.
وعليكم السلام.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Well, it's wonderful to have you
Walaikum
guys here
assalam.
today. So today we're going to talk about how we do animations. And the most important part is I'm going to give you guys tips on how to write for animation. So Muslim Kids TV is a platform where we have videos, games, ebooks, Quran recitation buddy. We also have a really cool comic creator where you can actually, visualize your own story in there. So if you want to use that one, you can use it as well. So without further ado, I'm just going to go quickly with a short presentation, and then I'm going to ask you guys for questions after, okay? If you guys have any questions, you guys can ask me after, inshallah. Okay, so a good story starts with it all starts with a good story, right? If you guys can think about your favorite animated show, an animated cartoon or movie, you can ask yourself, what makes it your favorite story, right? Why do you love this animated story so much, right? Or why do you love this animated movie so much? Did you like the characters? Was it an exciting story with lots of twists and turns? Was it funny? Was it scary? Or was it an action adventure story, right? So today we're going to I'm going to talk to you guys about, when you're writing a story, we're going to talk a little bit around the length of the story, the characters, how do you write the characters, how do you write the settings, how do you write the plot and the structure of the story. And at the same time, I'm going to show you guys what happens after we receive your stories and what do we do with them, right? Okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the length, right? The length of the length of your story. And this is probably the most important part of, that you should think about, because, there's so much that you can write about, but thinking about how short is that going to be is very important, because with this Ramadan Connect writing story contest, we only allow 5 minutes, right, for us to animate the story. So that's why the character length, the number of words that you're going to write is very, very, very short, right? So what you want to do is basically, make sure that you plan it out, right? Make an outline of what you want in the story. Use only a few characters and settings, and that would really help you, inshallah, with basically how much you can write with your story. And then the next one is the characters. This is the hardest thing I think that you will have to face, because with your story, right, it's very, very short. So can you, oh sorry, that's for the that was for the characters. Let me just see my notes on the characters. Okay, let me just see, sorry about that. Okay, yes, okay. So now when you're writing about the characters, make sure you have a lot of fun writing your characters and use a lot of your imaginations. Think about the people that you know, right? Think about your family, think about your friends, your classmates. And remember, this is a story that you're writing. So really, you can even use imaginary people that you always want to meet, right? Or an athlete that you want to meet, right? Or a superhero that you want to meet. Even like fantastic beings, right? So for example, if you guys have seen Cars, right? So they can make a person out of a car, or they can make a person out of out of a pen, right? So you use as much imagination as you can. And then the most important thing about writing about your characters is we want to hear their voice, right? We want to make sure that they have voice. What do they sound like? What will they say, right? And so that is very, very important. We want to make sure that, you know, that we can hear them, that we know what they're saying, what they're thinking about, or what they're feeling, right? So those are some of the most important things. And also what happens to the characters during the story. Oh yes, and one important thing too as well is that we want to make sure that you guys write about what they're saying, right, to each other, right? So that's the dialogue is very important. We want to make sure that we can hear their voice, right? That we know what they're saying, we know what they're thinking, and we know what they're feeling. Okay. And then next is the settings. So the settings, every story takes place somewhere, right? So the setting gives life to the story. And for example, is it set in a busy street or in a quiet lake, right? So really the story gives a lot of mood to your story. And then the next one is the plot. The plot is what makes the plot is what happens during the story, right? Something has to happen, right? Changes must also take place, and a good plot has some twists and turns. So we want to make sure that, you know, the story has some exciting parts to it, right? That we can see the characters basically the characters basically changing throughout the story, right? Or having a transformation. Okay, so the last part is basically the different parts of the story, what we call a story structure. So this is the act 1, the act 2, or the act 3. So what is this all about basically is act 1 is setting up the story and the settings. Oh, sorry, the setting up the characters and the story itself, right? So what's happening? What's happening right now with the character? Who are the characters? Where are they? What's happening? And then the next one is the act 2. And this is where things happen, right? There's like conflict that's happening, or something really exciting that's happening. The okay, I'll give you a really good example. And then the act 3, so I'll give you guys, and then the act 3 is basically a resolution. So I'll give you an example. So Ahmed is fasting, and then they went to the market, right? And then at the market, what happens next is they're passing by a bank, and then they see a robbery, right? So something is happening in the robbery. So there's a robbery happening by the market. And then what happens is Ahmed, as soon as the robbery takes something, Ahmed trips the robber. And then after Ahmed trips the robber, then everybody's like, are you okay? Is everybody okay? Then the guard catches also the robber, right? And so that's really how the act 1, act 2, act 3 looks like, right? So you guys can set up the, the character. The character is Ahmed. Ahmed is at the market. with his mom. And then Act 2 is when the robber, robs the bank. And then as soon as Ahmed sees the robber coming out of the bank, he trips the robber. And that's where all the climax happens. The Act 2 happens. And then the Act 3 happens when Ahmed is helped by the guard, right? It's basically the guard helps take over the robber. Okay, so that is the Act 3. So that's really how I think the best thing to do when you're writing your story is to basically write an outline for each one of them. Each of what's happening in Act 1, what's happening in Act 2, and what's happening in Act 3 before you actually write your story. Because what happens is you don't want it to be too long, right? Because a lot of things can happen in each of these sections or in each part of this story. So we want to make sure that you know exactly what you're going to write about. Okay. And so now after you've finished that, you've written your story. Now, what do we do as Muslim Kids TV with, with the story that we receive from you, right? So the 30 winners we're going to pick, this is what we're going to do with that. So the first thing that we're going to do is actually character design. So as you can see on the screen, we have different types of characters. We have different styles of characters, basically, right? So this is where we decide what types of characters, what style of the characters do we really like to showcase, right? So as you can see over here, right? Over here, Aisha has a yellow hijab and it's a different style. And then here, she has a peach hijab, right? And a little bit more rounder face. So these two different styles, we actually start, we start designing them based on the description that you gave us, right? So if you're able to give us more information about how you envision your character, that will really help the designer to the designer to design your characters, the illustrator to design your characters. And then the next one is the settings. We want to know, where is it? Is it in the busy market? Or is it in a quiet room? Right? And tell us, what time of the day is it? Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? Is it in the afternoon? Right? So if you give us more information about the setting, the illustrator can help visualize that for you. They can help draw it out for you. And then, of course, once we have chosen the characters, we have now illustrated the backgrounds. Now, what we are going to do is basically draw out each part of the characters. So as you can see on the screen here, we have the hair, we have the face, we have the eyes and the nose and the mouth and the clothes and the shoes and the legs, right? So this is what we call a character turnaround. And after we've done this, what we're going to do is we're going to use these different parts of their bodies to make them move, right? So what we call rigging, we rig them so that they move, right? Each part of it moves. Okay. And then the next part is the storyboard, right? So so somebody is going to read out your story and they're going to make what we call a storyboard, right? And so with this storyboard, the illustrator or storyboarder is going to roughly sketch out what's happening in your story, frame by frame, right? What's going to happen? How does it look like, right? And this is how, and then of course, after the storyboards are done, we're also doing at the same time voiceover. So we find different child actors that can actually, voice the characters that you have developed.
Thank you so much, Sister Flordeliza. This is extremely exciting. And I think that this is so much information that the students are learning more about. I wonder if we can pause for a few questions before people might have to leave at 11 at the top of the hour.
Okay, I'm just gonna quickly, just one more minute to finish this
Sure.
one. This is just 30 seconds. This is basically the animatics. What happens to the storyboard is we put it into animatics. We make sure that,
Oh, I see a woodpecker.
right? So we put the
Nice
voice
one,
and the characters, the different characters. There's no background yet, just the voice and the characters.
Ah,
We're gonna
foxes.
how they're gonna be placed on the
It's
screen,
okay. They're our friends.
right? So I'll show you how
Whoa.
it looks like.
That's pretty cool that you all live here. I guess I don't need tech to have fun. Just some good friends.
Okay, so you saw that a little bit. And now, after we're finished that animatics, now this is the final animation. And I can show you. So now we've added the sound effects.
Oh, I see a woodpecker.
We've added the voice. We've
Nice
added
one,
the
Alana.
settings. You see, now you can see the tree that the woodpecker is pecking. And then,
It's okay. They're our friends. Whoa. That's pretty cool that you all live here. I guess I don't need tech to have fun. Just some good friends. Yeah, it's definitely been more exciting since these two showed up. Alana, time to go, sweetie.
We've got the
okay, yeah, that's it. So if you guys have any other questions, let me know and I'm ready.
Wow, there are so many components to making something go from a story to this animation. Who knew? Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much, Sister Flordeliza, for explaining that process to us. I am sure that we've got lots of questions here. If you've got a question, go ahead and use your raise hand function. I see Sister Nada. Nada, if you can unmute, and also if you don't mind, share your video, but if you don't want to share your video, that's okay too. Go ahead, Nada.
Hi, Nada.
I want to know about the settings. Do we need to write like in the play, like in the first play, like we write it's night, or like at the down we write like the characters, the gender, and the settings?
Yes, that's a great question, Nada. Definitely, we want to know if it's a boy, if your character is a boy or a girl, and where is your character. And the setting, you were asking about the setting. We want to know if is it a nighttime, right? Because the mood is different at nighttime, and it's also different in the morning. So we want to know that so that we can draw it. We can draw your story really well.
So, and then Nada, I just want to add though, so with the story writing contest, part of that is going to just be built into the way that you write your story. So if you give the character, the main character, a certain name that might indicate if it's a boy or girl, or you give other details, or you say early in the morning, Nada woke up and she was so hungry. And that's the start of your story, right?
Exactly.
So you've built in the setting, parts of the setting and the character into the way you're writing the story. But you do want to include those details, inshallah. Great question, Nada. Thank you, honey. All right, Dia, go ahead, honey.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's just that I typed it in the chat already.
Oh, you did, Dia? Do you mind asking it again? I didn't see it.
Oh, so can I just like say it?
Yes, go ahead.
So it's just like, how do we think of story of Ramadan? It's hard.
Oh, this is such a good question. How do you even think of a story? Dia, it's such a good question.
Because I was thinking it's of early morning and I got it wrong. It was hard.
You got it wrong?
Yes, because it was accidentally a short story with just 30 words.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you do have to include more details. Well, Dia, one thing that I'm going to tell you is that there's a rubric on Ramadan Connect. A rubric means like it's got all the details about what we're looking for in the story. So we're asking you to describe the character, the main setting, and we even gave you different topics that you can choose related to consistency or being grateful. And so you're going to use those prompts, but maybe Flordeliza or even Dr. Fozia or other authors in our midst, or maybe other students have some suggestions for how they're thinking about their stories. Ideas.
Well,
Dr.
Do
Fozia?
we write the characters first, or do we write the settings first?
Oh, good questions. Dr. Fozia, did you want to respond? Dr. Fozia is here with us. She is an author, and
yes, please.
she would love to respond to your question, Dia. Really good questions.
That was an excellent question, Dia. And what I would say is the easiest way to do this is either from your home library or go to the library and pick out all the fairy tales that are written in the simplest way. So you want the fairy tales written for either KG or grade 1. Once you take those fairy tales, read them, and then try and think how you can change some of those. You're going to change the setting, you're going to change some of the plot, and then you bring into it something about Ramadan. So I did that with Little Red Riding Hood, and I made it Little Red Kufi. And I don't know if I can actually share that with Dr. Shaza. And that way you can see how you can do that with your stories as well. It's an easy way. I do it with my students because it is difficult to find a story.
So one idea, that's a great idea. So one idea is to take a simple story that you like and to kind of change the details so that it fits the theme. And then Dr. Fozia, if I could add something that another one of the authors from the Read Aloud also shared, Sister Reem Faruqi and Sister Sabira, they shared that they use their own life to think about the topic of their story. So that's another idea too. Is there something about a time that you were really grateful in Ramadan, or that you tried to help someone? And then that way you're the expert, and you can even make up things as you go along, as Sister Flordeliza was explaining. Thank you for your question, Dia. Anas, go ahead and unmute. And if you are comfortable, you can share your video too.
I was gonna ask, how do you think of the story? Because you need a title first. So the title needs. How are you gonna put the title and try to make it do it with the story?
This is a good question. How and when do you think of the title? Anybody want to respond to that?
What is the title of your story so far? Do you have?
Not make one.
You haven't made one yet?
You haven't made one. Okay. So one of the things that you can think about is, what was the most fun day you've ever had in all of the Ramadan that you've ever experienced, right? You can think about that. Or it doesn't have to be the best day. It can also be the worst day. What happens, right?
Okay, so that's a good idea. And another idea, Sister Flordeliza, to Anas's question. Anas, you said that you have to think of the title first, but I don't know if that's necessary. Sometimes the title will come to you first, but sometimes it would be the idea of the story. And you write the story, and then you're like, what would be an interesting title that gives people a clue about what the story is going to be about, inshallah. So there's different, it doesn't have to be first. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Hajar, would you like to unmute and ask your question and share your video if you're comfortable with that?
Thank you. How do you describe your character in the story?
I think Sister Shaza already kind of mentioned that earlier, that you don't have to describe it in details, right? It could be like how she said it, that Nada woke up, right? Early in the morning, or it can even be from a personal point of view, right? It's talking about, you're talking about yourself in the story. So that's how you can describe the story. You can describe the character. Just think about it as how you would, if you were that character in the story, how would you describe yourself? Doing something or feeling something, right?
Okay, and I'm realizing that we are at the end of our time. So what I would like us to do is, do you know what we're gonna do? Everybody's gonna unmute and we'll recite Surah Al-Asr together. And guess what, guys? If you have questions, you can post them on the Ramadan Connect Padlet. Sister Flordeliza is on the Padlet too, and she could respond there. And inshallah, yeah, I see some videos coming up. Are we ready? I see some people making silly faces too. Anika, you're being silly. Okay, ready, guys? To unmute. When I say 3, then we'll start with Surah Al-Asr, okay? 1, 2, 3. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات
وتواصوا بالصبر. Jazakumullah khairan, everybody. Thank you so much to Sister Flordeliza for sharing all this amazing information. And I know we probably have more questions. We're so happy to have you guys here. And inshallah, we look forward to having you join us next week on Monday with the author of Eid Empanadas, Sister Wendy Diaz, inshallah, at the same time that we started today. And we look forward to answering more of your questions about Ramadan Connect Story Writing Contest and working with you and learning more about you on Ramadan Connect Padlet. Thank you for joining. Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.
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 Bye. You're dropping like. Bye.